Today's sponsor is Govern 365, the #1 Microsoft 365 data room solution using Govern 365. Visit them today at govern365.com. In this week's video, we're going to take a look at those apps that you simply have to be using in Microsoft 365. After all, you're paying for them. Check this out, you'll learn something. Greetings everyone, how are you today? Welcome back to the channel. So nice to see you, Andy here. On today's episode, I thought I would take a look at some of those apps that you know are in Microsoft 365 that you think, I wonder what those actually do. We all know things like Word and Excel, but there are so many cool apps with so many cool features that, again, often it's difficult to keep track of them. So I thought we would take a little bit of time just to kind of dive in and take a look at what these apps actually do. And I'm not just talking about the enterprise apps, I'm going to take a look at some of the apps that are involved in the small business SKUs as well. Now, if you haven't had a chance to ask any questions, I love those, so please get those down. I really, really do appreciate it. And also a huge shout out to all my Patreon subscribers. I really do appreciate that. And just to mention, I've just uploaded Module 2 from my MD 102 course, and that, of course, is the Microsoft Intune Administrator. Now, if you'd like access to full courses, as well as monthly Zoom chats, and so much more, then check out the link below and come on board and subscribe. It would be great to have you there. And questions and comments about this and any of my other sessions, of course, just get those down below. So I think without any further ado, let's jump in and take a look at some of these cool apps that you should definitely be using. So I'm kicking off here in Microsoft 365, and this is an E5 subscription. I've also got a business premium subscription as well. And for the first part, these apps are available in both. So the first up thing, I'm going to come up here to the app launcher. I prefer to call it the waffle because it kind of looks like a waffle. And of course, we get presented with our favorite tools at the moment. So you've got Microsoft Outlook, Word, Excel, usual stuff. But we have quite a number of other tools that you're probably paying for and you're not probably using. So, for example, the first one I want to show you is something called Visio. Now, Visio is an absolutely awesome drawing and templating tool. And as you can see, you can either start from a blank drawing, a blank sheet. You can have flowcharts, basic diagrams, organizational charts. You can create an infographic. So those fantastic infographics that you see on LinkedIn, these are awesome. And of course, if you're into IT support, you can also go with a basic networking diagram as well. Now, in terms of the templates, we have a whole bunch of different templates that you can use. So general, flowchart, organizational chart, and so on. And they are super, super simple to use. So, for example, here I can come up and you can see here's a perfect example of an organizational chart for my organization. And likewise, Visio can produce some fantastic networking diagrams as well as process diagrams like this. Now, you can see that depending on the subscription that you've got, you may or you may need to get an appropriate license. And when we talk about the different Visio options, you get the basics included in Microsoft 365. This does a pretty good job. There are hundreds of different shapes and templates and things that you can use. Now, being a Microsoft person, the one little frustration that I have, though, is that I can't bring in Microsoft-esque diagrams. So, for example, their representations of Azure, for example, or Entra ID, I suppose we should call it. And for that, you need to add in an additional $5 per month. So they come in two different plans. Obviously, plan 1, you get those additional diagramming tools for Azure and also for Amazon. And the rest, you can pay $15 in addition to your a 365 subscription, and you get loads and loads of additional things, including incorporation into things like AutoCAD and so on. So those are some of the various licenses that you can get. So here I am in Visio, and you can see that I've got a search bar here, and I have a number of elements that are available. Well, first of all, the interface is very, very familiar. So if you use the likes of Word, PowerPoint, you won't have any problems finding your way around here. So what we have is we have got a number of different icon sets here. So for example, computers and monitoring, we've got networking here as well. So I can, for example, I can draw a wall here. I can do a representation of a firewall. If I want to change the color of the wall, of course, which you probably would, you can configure that there as well quite happily. Now, what else do we need? Well, we're on a network here, so I suppose we should put some computers in here. And again, you can see it's super simple to work. If I want to change the color of anything, again, as before, it's just the case of selecting the item or items, and you can see I can easily change the colors of these devices. Now, in addition to that, you've also got a whole host of other templates, as I mentioned, that you can use. And it's super easy to add those in just simply by clicking on add, and that will add this into the workspace at the moment. So we have got literally thousands of elements that you could bring in here. And you can see that as you do so, all of these are coming available here. So for example, I can bring my users in here, and I just make that a little bit bigger, of course, and I can then start to bring text boxes in. I can bring in all of these different elements and so on. Now, the one disappointment I maybe would draw, especially if you're a Microsoft-y type person, is the fact that you've got to add in those additional charges. So if you wanted things like Azure icons, Amazon icons and things like that, you kind of need to pay extra for that, and that starts about $4 a month. But you know, if you're looking for pretty basic diagramming, there's loads and loads of different solutions. You can just search for those. So just to mention, in terms of the diagram, you can choose a configuration of lots of different styles, lots of different themes that you can configure here. So I can completely change the colors, the theme colors. You can change the connector styles. You can change the diagram layout if you want to. Again, whatever works for you. I use this all the time for things like presentations. As I say, my only one disappointment, I suppose, is that you don't get the Azure icons. But again, you know, if this isn't a problem for you, then you know, I think you're absolutely going to be fine with what's included here. So there you go, a little bit about Visio. Definitely check it out on your subscription today. Right, so what's next? Well, I'm going to come up here into the app launcher. I'm going to explore my apps, and we have got more apps in here. And the first one I want to take a look at then is one of my favorites, actually, because I use this all the time. I really do. This is Microsoft Lists. So if you create yourself little databases, or you create spreadsheets of information, or you might even use forms, we have got a list tool here. And this absolutely rocks. And there's like a whole bunch of different templates that you can use. So for example, onboarding new employees, an event itinerary. You can even do things like one of my favorites, which is travel requests, because I travel a lot, of course. So I'm going to say, yeah, I want to use this template. Of course, you can put in anything that you want here. You can put in a description, and of course you can choose the style. In this case, it's a travel request, so I'm going to choose a plain, and I'm going to choose the color blue. You can save the list to either your list, or you can publish it as a tab into Microsoft Teams. Alternatively, later you could add in Teams and then add in the list as well. So there's a number of different ways to do it. So you can see that if I click in here, it takes that template, and I'm now in my travel requests. So all I simply do now is I can either edit this, or if I'm ready to make a new entry, I can simply click on the form and check it out. Look at that. Isn't that cool? So I now have a full travel request. And of course, one of the cool things now is you could automate that. So you could share that with somebody in a team. You could export that data out because it's in a pretty simple data format. But when you look at other tools like this, here's another template that I created earlier. So when you look at this, you can see I can create another new entry. You can change the colors, you can attach files. I use this for my YouTube channel, actually, one of these for my YouTube channel, which rocks. It lets me keep a track of everything that I've done. So it's super easy to go and share content. Of course, one of the things you can do is you can also export content out. You can export it into a CSV file, which of course is readable by Excel, and you can also export it to Power BI. So if you want to visualize your data, then again, you can do that. You can also integrate teams as well. So you can, and you can also integrate lists as well with the likes of Power Apps. You can configure a flow in Power Automate. And of course, as I said, you can push this out to Power BI, as well as easily sharing this content. So with all the options that are available, definitely Lists is my number 2 on one of my favorite apps. Up next, I'm going to take a look at Power Automate. And Power Automate is just one of those tools. Some people either love it or some people find it quite tricky to use. So as you can now see, it's now fully incorporated into Microsoft Copilot. So you can even just describe what you're looking for. And you can see that Microsoft do make an attempt to create some simple options. So for example, send emails to a group of people. Easy. So can you create the automation for that? There you go. So it's even suggesting a flow, and you think, hey, this looks great. Let's just go ahead with that. And it will go ahead and create the flow. So you can see it picks up the user accounts. You don't need to do anything. Look at that. How cool is that? And there we go. The flow is now created. But the fact that it can actually do this just by typing a few simple suggestions here, this is a game-changing scenario, I think. As you know, this particular tool comes with a whole host of different templates that you can use. So it can be from the most simple as things like saving an email attachment to a Dropbox or a OneDrive to something much more complicated. So you could go for things like data collection. So if you've got, users that are filling in forms on your website and you want to export the data into a spreadsheet, or maybe you want to export it into a graphics application, then this is the tool for you. All right, and as I said, absolutely simple. All you need to do, you can see it, just sign in with the person that you want to connect to your Outlook.com, which is the same as OneDrive. Boom, that's it, it's done. So every time you receive an email attachment, that will now go into your OneDrive. How cool is that? Now, as I mentioned, there are tons of learning tools. So this is where you'll find all the Power Automate documentation on learn.microsoft.com. And you can even go even further. You can create approvals, you can create full workflows, process mining. You can even create your own AI model. They're absolutely awesome. And if you're using Power Automate for the desktop, again, there's a whole bunch of things there as well. So definitely, and the fact that it's incorporated with Copilot absolutely rocks. There you go, Power Automate. Now, being a YouTuber, of course, you know I love video tools. And one of my favorite tools is Microsoft Stream, which now is included as part of your subscription. So any videos that you create will automatically go into your OneDrive here. And of course, you can share them and you can then view them. So I can, for example, go in here and you can see that you've got the video here. You can put in details about it. You can easily share the video with your colleagues. You can go ahead and create a thumbnail. You can put in some metadata, such as what the video is about. You can put in some transcripts, and it can also generate, for example, captions, which is quite interesting. So the captions, you can choose the language and it will go off and it will create those captions for you. It can take about a couple of minutes, of course, depending on the size of the video itself. In addition, you can, just like YouTube, you can also chapterize your video as well. You can add comments, and of course you can view analytics. So a couple of nice things kind of related to Microsoft Teams, which I really like. You can enable noise suppression. So if you've recorded the video and there's a little bit of noise in the background, that's really good at just clearing things up there. Also, if you want to add any additional audio files to the video, you can do that. So you can add in additional sound as well.
And now, as a special bonus treat for our Patreon subscribers, here's a little extra just for you.
Indeed. So as you can see, I can toggle. You've got things like you've got the language here. So again, I can replay this. And let's see what happens.
And now, as a special bonus treat for our Patreon subscribers, here's a little extra just for you.
Isn't that cool? The fact that it will auto-generate captions, and of course you could then potentially export that out and easily share this with other users. So in addition to recording a video, of course, you can also create your own playlist, and you can also share this with fellow workmates as well. So Microsoft Stream, I love it. Definitely check it out today. So there you have it. What a cool set of apps, aren't they? Hey, listen, I really hope you enjoyed today's session. If you did, please bump the like button. It does make a difference to the channel. And if you've got questions and comments, as always, just get those down below and I will do my very best for you as well. Now, a huge shout out to my sponsor this week, Govern365.com. So if you want to learn all about their very, very cool data room solution, there are some links in the description there and you can try it for free. There you go. Thanks so much for joining us this time, and I'll see you next time around. You stay safe. Take care. Hey, thanks so much for dropping by today. Here's a couple of videos that you may enjoy, and while you're here, go ahead, click on the subscribe button and you won't miss out.